Last with your hosts, Jack, Matt, and Miles.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to the
Hi.
podcast.
Hello, everybody.
Nice.
We are always
Well,
strikes last.
Welcome
We
to Always
are.
Strikes Last.
all three of us striking last together.
Together
We will
again.
have the last word. No one knows.
Indeed. So I
let's see,
finally
I'm-
got away from that cron spine.
Nice. Yeah. Matt's has rejoined the party for this episode. Yeah. How was it? You killed it. It went down a level. Poofed out of existence.
I really just died, and I am speaking to you as a disgruntled zombie right now. That's all I am. So I've been revived, died, revived. Now I've died again, and I've chosen to fail my battle shock and run away. So that's why I'm
Delightful.
here. Yep. So how we all doing? How we doing? Seems like we got some fun stuff that just showed up this morning, which I'm super excited about.
Oh my god, yeah.
and
it's, this weekend, it's been crazy. It's like it's Christmas.
Yeah, it's like that time that capitalism time happens, and we get all our last quarter earnings, right?
Right?
So on top of that, we have a ton of awesome rules kind of leaks out there, and 2 armies, which I know the three of us in some way are excited for, either excited for friends or excited for our own play. So I'm kind of excited to get into it. So as most people know, we've kind of had the Slaves to Darkness leaks all over the place. Thank you, Guerrilla Games Workshop PR department, right?
Right.
Exactly. Working hard to make it seem like we got something early.
I know, it's so great. And I really just I have an all knights, all chariots list that's been sitting, waiting, and wanting to not play a cheesy Corn Demon Prince allied or stupid allied list, right? I just want to play my knights. So what's going on with the knights? I know we've seen something. We've seen something about the knights.
Oh my god,
weird.
they look honestly, they look great. They got I'm looking at the war scroll for them now. I think they got 1 extra inch of movement. Were they 9 inches before? They're 10 inches now.
No, they were 10 before.
Okay. They have a proper 3-up save. I could have sworn it might have been a 4 before. 5-up save. 5-up save against mortal wounds. Yep. That's very nice. A bunch of extra attacks, which is fun. The cursed flail is 6 attacks per guy with no rend. The ensorcelled hammer. Who's got the ensorcelled hammer? That's a unit. That's a unit champ option. There we go. So that's just a heavy weapon. So that's cool. They get a heavy weapon option, and then the lances got a little bit extra spicy there. So I think they got an extra attack. And then what you'll be excited to hear about is that on the turn that they charge with the cursed lances, you don't use their melee range. You use the Galatian vets. Are you within a half an inch of a guy who's within a half an inch? So your unit of 10 knights, everybody gets to hit with those lances on the first turn as they trundle through.
Huzzah.
And then they still keep the improving the rend and improving the damage on the charge. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah,
that's solid. That's super solid. I'm so excited for that. And they have banners too. So they're going to be able to carry some of the new rules that Slaves to Darkness are using, where they can carry banners to deny things, buff up certain units, and just like do crazy stuff. I am so excited for this book that my wallet is already empty and super ready. Super ready.
Yeah.
I'm a little excited myself.
You get one fancy banner for the army, and you could take a second banner, as like an enhancement. And so, one unit can take one banner, and like it just gives them like a super mark, effectively.
Yeah.
Like a super mark of chaos. So that's kind of exciting. A corn unit with the banner would get +1 to wound for the unit. Like, yeah, it's just a nice way of like being like, okay, but these are the champions.
Yeah.
These are the Nurgle champions. These are the corn champions.
These are the ones that everybody was like, oh, they're special.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this book, which I think, from what I could read or gathered, creates that feeling, which, as you guys know, is my favorite thing in Age of Sigmar Army, where it plays the way you want it. Like a famous example, like zombies lurching forward, inviting you in an awesome way. Like that 6-inch pylon and the mortal wounds off them feel like that. Like you're in like a Romero movie. Where, all the Chaos Knights and Chosen and Chaos Warriors all of a sudden feel like they really are the people who worked really hard to put on that armor, not just guys you overlook in favor of some unit because of the Eye of the God stuff too. I mean, they're all kind of buffing themselves up continuously by trying to impress the big sky gods who are looking at them. Whether they're a hero or not.
The Scods, if you will.
The Scods.
The gods of both Ska and the sky.
Yeah. I mean, just, I haven't like read through every single word in this, got the leaked Imgur gallery or whatever that I'm scrolling through.
Is that how you pronounce that?
I assume so.
Imgur? I always thought it was INGUR.
I think it's Swedish.
Imgur? Yeah, I don't know. Imgur?
He's Swedish for, man, this is an annoying app that I have to
use. So many interesting, for one, just quality of life adjustments of like just stuff that was weird. Like marks, you don't have to have a nearby hero. Amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
So
like
needed.
that's huge. Eye of the Gods can go on every unit. In an undivided army, or in undivided units, just get Eye of the Gods, and so you're not trying to get your like little foot hero to kill their wizard in order to roll for a potential bonus.
It's hilarious though that now this is going to be the most token heavy army. Just imagine the amount of tokens you're going to have to bring, or just like a little notepad that you have to rip up each time. The one thing that I'm very excited for, and I haven't seen yet, is the Mounted Lord of Chaos. And if he follows the rules that the rest of the Lords of Chaos have done,
he'll be bad.
He's going to make it so those knights can attack twice. And
hang on, let me. I'm scrolling through.
I'm looking at it right now.
Y'all can't see my face on the podcast, but I'm having a matgasm right now. If that's true.
Oh.
I'm
Are you
still
thinking
having
of
it.
the one on not horse or the one on Karkadrak?
The one on horse. There should be a mounted horse.
It's a not
lord.
horse. It's a not horse.
Mount. Yes,
Demonic
not
mount.
horse.
It's a not horse.
Looks like a horse. Smells like a horse. Bad tempered.
It
is
a
a demonic mount.
It's a duck.
Okay. It's a duck under that parting. All right. Well, I don't want to disappoint you. It does have something like that, but it's still pretty good. This ability that the Chaos Lord has is the Knights of Chaos, which states that the strike first effect applies to this unit if they made a charge move.
Turn. I like that.
And in addition, you could pick either a Chaos Knights, Chaos Chariot, or Gorby's Chariot within 12, only within 12. They kind of do the fight right after them thing. So it's that rule where it's like you can kind of bring someone along with you to keep the fight going. But it's not a double fight.
I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. Take a charge from the knight, or take a charge from the Lord and the knights. I'm fine with that. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Take two lords on demonic mounts and 2 units of knights. There
you go.
Very good.
It's almost like I was building this army, hoping vainly, but they've answered said prayers. Make my knights work. Make all 40 of my knights work. I have 40
you were pretty...
and a problem.
Were you chariot heavy as well, Matt? Like in this thing? How many chariots you have? What kind? 6
chariots and 40 knights.
Well, your chariots are awesome now. I saw a little bit of a tease. Is that the Gore Beast, or are you talking the regular old Chaos Chariot?
No, regular Chaos Chariot, because it's just about the charge. You want to break a screen? Throw 3 chariots into something and throw mortals on the charge. Boom, 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 boom.
I've got good news and then better news for you. Maybe
I like it.
Better how you phrase it. All right.
I like it.
Is the Chaos Chariot wants to once per battle, and when it gets in there, the charge move, you pick an enemy nearby, and for roll a number of dice equal to your charge roll, and it's like a better version of the ogre thing. Every 5 up is a mortal wound.
Yep.
So you get a hot charge, it's going to be a little bit better, just like a D3 and a 2 up or whatever, potentially.
Yeah, and that rule they retained. That one they retained. It's the Gore Beast that I think changed, right? Because they can now move
that was
over.
The better news. The Gore Beast is awesome now. Awesome. So, I'm not even going to touch the profile, but you get in there with your charge. It has this rule called unstoppable momentum, which is at the end of the combat phase. If it charged in, you can make a normal move, and you can even do so if you're within 3 of an enemy unit. And if you pass over some models with a wounds characteristic of 4 or less, you can treat your model as if it flies. And then you can pick one of those units you moved over, and then 3 if it takes D6 mortal wounds.
Nice. So like a supercharged version of the Blood Knight's ability in a way.
Exactly. It feels like kind of thematically appropriate, right? This thing is crushing whatever screen's in front of it and hopping right over it to get it to something else. So, I mean, that foot hero hiding behind like 10 Ungors is going to get D6 mortal wounds on him probably from this. Plus, you're all up in their business afterwards.
I love it.
No, that's super fun. I'm just scrolling through here, and I found the points list. The thing, this was true in the last book, I think. Everything in this army is battle line. There's no conditional battle line in the whole book. It's just so all much. Battle line. Don't worry about it.
I love it. All the battle line all the time.
Yeah.
All the tricks I've been having to pull with Skaven to get the battle line that I need. This is going to be such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. It looks like our days of Marauder supremacy are finally over. So that's a little exciting.
The nail's been placed in the coffin finally.
Oh yeah, no, they don't have the fancy charge anymore.
I love it. That was so annoying.
Yeah.
For people here, Miles once nuked the Lord of Change on a charge once, just because I had gotten completely careless and forgotten about the Marauder charge. And he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to show up. Okay, here's like 4 million attacks from buffed up Marauders. K bye." And I'm like, "Oh, well, there's a fifth of my army. Good game." Good game.
Yeah.
They're so muscly and run so fast.
Yeah.
And they're not bad anymore, but they're they're a small screening army or unit now. Like you could take 10 of them and use them as a screen because they're cheap.
The things that stood out to me too, outside of the just obvious awesomeness of everything else so far, was the other cult units, the Warcry units, actually all have independent uses now. I have so many Crow Boys, and they actually have a use now. They can hide, and they ignore the effects of terrain, if I remember correctly. So you can garrison stuff essentially with them, and then nobody can see them. And that is
infiltrate
brilliant.
Too, I believe, Matt.
They can infiltrate too? Oh,
yeah, they deep strike or whatever.
Oh, brilliant.
The other thing, and this is huge, I know we were kind of getting there with different patches and stuff before the end before this book came out, but they all also got the undivided keyword, which is awesome, just sort of default. And I saw somewhere that you can take a command ability for your general to mark them with whatever he's got as a mark.
That's right. I think it's like if you're doing the idolater thing, you can kind of make them all Slanesh or Saint or Korn or whatever. So you can really go with the theme.
Right. But even if you're not doing that, they still get access to Eye of the Gods and undivided bonuses and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they're full citizens.
I love that this book feels exactly like what the last book really wanted to feel like. And I think the last book, when it was released, I know you got excited, Miles. I know I got super excited because it's just like they're so iconic, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're like, so Warhammer.
They're the OG Warhammer army, and like they're meant to be like the person's person, you know, like the every person fighter, right? And so like in that book they kind of felt like they on release were overly complicated, and kind of like fell apart, especially to things like Croak and basically
Techless.
Any other army that came out. Because they were kind of underwhelming because they wanted to build they felt like Corn in a way where like you had to over synergize just to get things to work, only they didn't have the benefits of summoning, which was the only way that Corn stayed in the game at that point, and to a lesser degree now, right? But like the new changes, they all feel like some independent marauding force that came up and said, yeah, let's all go in this direction and burn that village, right? They all seem to work on their own, but they can get a little help and get even, you know, saltier in the face of their enemies, right? I think it's great. I love it. Each unit actually has a place.
Yeah. I think Jack, was I telling you about this? Like one of the big issues with the last book was the fact that you needed to have little heroes around in order to get your main allegiance ability, right? Which is the Mark of Chaos, right? Yeah. Because let's face it, Eye of the Gods in the last book you never rolled it, and you know, so in order to get one of your key allegiance abilities, you needed to have a hero nearby. And so if you wanted to run kind of a mixed arms army, right, where you had some knights, some warriors, some scouts, some fast cavalry, and that kind of thing, you needed a panoply of different heroes, little heroes, 600-700 points of little heroes running around the board just to keep those allegiance abilities turned on.
Yeah, all of which could have been sniped off by Techless by turn 2.
Oh, right? Immediately, yeah.
So that was also the problem with them in the last book, because like they may have been 6 little heroes, but they did feel like little heroes. They weren't really big threats, right? They weren't like, oh man, that guy is a champion of chaos, I think I've heard about him. It wasn't like that, not at all.
And they still have that in like their Dark Oath, which I actually kind of like. Like, yeah, they're heroes to a Dark Oath person, but
yeah,
you know, and so I hope that because I have a ton of Dark Oath stuff, and I hope that it's still a viable build. Well, I hope it actually becomes a viable build. It was the only thing that I looked at were knights. Essentially, I was like, okay, knights, and are my chariots the same? Okay, yeah, my chariots are the same. Okay, awesome, great, good to go. Awesome, I'm good. I'm happy. To me, the biggest benefit in the book was them just getting 3-and-ups. They got the 3-and-ups that they deserve. The knights and the warriors at 3-and-up are perfect to me, because now you've got a potential 2-and-up save on 2 units if you're using Mystic Shield, right, from whatever's going on, and they're shrugging mortals on a 5. Like, what's not to love about that? Nothing. You know, like,
I agree with you, Matt, that they finally come back to the way my very aged memories would have them be, which is sitting there in middle school while these unbeatable tin men flat down whenever I was trying to play my friend with. They're back there.
Yeah, it's like, how am I gonna beat this? It's such a small army, but how the hell am I gonna beat it, right? So I love it. It feels like the old Chaos book. It feels like it. I could be proven wrong. I'm sure some new list will come out and say, haha, screw your idea of this list.
Right.
But in the meantime, I'm so excited for this release. So
yeah, I think I am too. I mean, granted, my heart with the Heat Knights. So I wouldn't call myself a Slaves to Darkness player, but I'm always Slaves to Darkness adjacent, so I can get tempted in, by cool stuff like this or for Coalition or whatnot. And heck, have enough painted Slaves to Darkness units by virtue of that alone. Yeah, I keep thinking about that new box. It's kind of hard to say no to it.
Oh yeah, the wallet already felt that one. So,
other interesting news: the Legion of the First Prince got folded in to Slaves to Darkness. So it's the army as it was is completely gone, and now it is more of you can have Be'lakor, and if you choose to ally in some demons, they get the benefit of Marks of Chaos as if they were Slaves to Darkness. That's the big.
Sorry, go ahead.
But it's no longer like a full mixed demons army in the way that it was, which is a little bit sad. I like the mixed demons army, even though it ended up just being a monster mash.
Yeah.
But
I think I missed this.
So Legion of the First Prince is now a sub-faction of Slaves to Darkness.
Yeah, and they had the Warcry dudes in there, which are surprisingly good. The Centurion Marshal, I picked up that big chonker. It's a huge model, but it's actually deceivingly good because it has a way of multiplying its attacks without spending a CP, doing anything other than just hitting with other attacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other little Warcry warband, which I'm kind of excited to pick up eventually, because I'll never play Warcry, but I'll own every single warband. That's how it goes. They actually have like a little mini Be'lakor rule to them. On a 6+, they can stop you from doing stuff.
Oh, cool!
So there's so much fun to be had in this book.
Which
and it's not even out yet. It's not even close to being out yet. I guess kind of.
Well, it goes on. It went on pre-order this weekend, right?
That's not close enough.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm unhappy about the time. Give me what I want now.
Right
now.
The other thing that went on pre-order this weekend was the Ogor Mawtribes book. Kind of a sneaky stealth launch there for the Ogor Mawtribes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hilariously, they also get a new model too, which is awesome.
A whole new model.
Yeah.
And it's one that people have been clamoring for a long time. Yet another hunter.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. This one is kind of exciting. I mean, I play the Ogors, and so I've been intimately familiar for a number of years with their strengths and their drawbacks. And from what I've seen so far, these guys are definitely sitting in the shadow of the chaos, but there's a crazy power spike for them, which is just unheard of, based on where my baseline has been sitting. I haven't got a chance to look at a full codex leak or anything else, so I've sort of pre-ordered mine already. But what I have seen, a virtue of sneaky internet rumors, as well as actually a battle report that the Worm community guys did, where they kind of showcased some of the stuff, is that your basic glutton, your basic ogre, just got access to a crazy amount of potential mortal wounds, for one, because they changed the gulping bite rule so that it's at the end of the combat phase, you just roll a dice on the floor for you to do 3 mortal wounds by biting them, rather than hoping that your no-rend one attack gets through something, which is kind of significant. And the second is they have pretty easy access to a fight twice, ability with the Iron Guts. They all, once a game, just get to say, I'm going to fight again, at the end of a phase. And for those of you who have not experienced an Iron Gut weapon, it's basically 2 tons of pig iron hitting you for 3 damage each. Used to be Red 1. I think they brought it to Red 2 too.
I seem to recall, what was it, 5 or 6 Iron Guts wiping a unit of 30 demonettes in one swing? Was that right, Jack?
Yep, that is right. That is right.
See that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, they very cheekily summoned them on, and then they made their 11-inch charge or something, right? And then they had to go fight somewhere else first, and they were oh, it'll be fine. It's 30 demonettes. And Jack was nope.
Erased.
Nice.
It was a very satisfying moment. The Iron Guides came through due to the somewhat suspect nature of some of the earlier parts of that game's deployment and the communication there. It was very satisfying to crush those 30 demonettes.
I think the The one thing that I've noticed from, and I haven't been able to see many leaks, but the one thing that I have noticed is they gave them the treatment that I consistently hear from like Peter and Andrew on why it's so rough to play them is they're kind of like lack of rend for certain things, just because they're an older book. And so now they're getting it, I think, across the board, pretty much a +1 rend on most of the things that they're using.
Nice.
And the other part of the army that I know from just fighting them a ton is their lack of dependability previously, right? Because you're relying on charges. That's why people were allying in Kragnos to get the 3d6 charge, which that's turned the army up to a 10 for only certain units. Like a lot of it seems like from what I can see is they're not relying on charges as much. They're relying on just being straight up in a fight, and it's going to be rough for a lot of slower moving armies to deal with. I know I am looking at my Fire Slayers right now and going, whoop, yeah, that's gonna hurt. That's really gonna hurt.
That's great though. I mean, I for one welcome our new ogre overlords. But
ogre lords.
Our new ogre lords. They've always just been one of the best Warhammer armies, not because they were super powerful or because they were but they've like, no matter what side of the table you're on, whether you're playing ogres or playing against them, they're a great time.
Yeah.
That's very true. That's very true. Like you roll up to a table and they're part of that faction mix. You don't really have that this kind of moment, which you sometimes get in other sort of like situations.
I think there was a moment where all BCR was terrifying, and like it wasn't like, I actually distinctly remember this at a GT where a bunch of us were sitting down and we knew that we would all of us were at a point where we would be and this was with the old scoring system, right? So we knew that we may be running into Peter. One of us sitting at the table was going to run into Peter, and we're all like, out of all the armies, even us like getting paired against each other, we were like, I can't go up against BCR right now. This won't work for me. And it's funny because it's not like that's going to suck and I'm going to hate playing against this army. It's more like that army has the capability to kind of like mess up everything that I was working for, as opposed to, this is going to be a boring game. I'm going to have to sit through 400 spells and get shot, from, I don't know, within the woods or something, right? And I love the fact that it's a no nonsense army. It doesn't need tricks because it was dependable, and it seems like they just kind of brought it up to par, and then made it brutal where it needed to be brutal, right?
Oh yeah, really to fit that feeling of like what would fighting a bunch of ogres on foot actually be like, and that's going to be great. I guess an interesting side note on the BCR armies is I've never had a problem with the BCR armies, and I've enjoyed playing against them many a time myself. But I feel like that warm apple pie, like this is Warhammer, is very much with the foot ogres. I feel like when you're like looking at that version of it, it feels like that well-rounded like force that's like the tribe has stumbled upon you, and you're kind of like sightseeing across the vista before they try to eat you. What's that over there? Oh, there's a guy with a bloody apron. What's he doing with that man's leg? Oh, some guys with big pig iron weapons. Oh, they found a cannon somewhere. List goes on. But
what are all those little green BCR,
things? Different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They look like little snots.
Yeah, those little goblins are cuter than the regular ones.
Adorable. Cutest models in the range.
So yeah, it'll be good all around. But I'm looking forward to that dimensionality coming back from the list. Because when you end up seeing like how many Stonehorns can fit into this one version of it, it just seems a bit more one dimensional.
Yeah, and I gotta give a lot of credit to those new books. Right, they're outside of a couple of the earlier ones. There's really no one-dimensional books out there. Lately, I think on the competitive scene in the area, it's more been defined by like the GHB, the General's Handbook, as opposed to like the actual strength of the book itself, right? Mm-hmm. So it's great. It feels great.
Yeah, no, it is great.
I'm excited to see how a couple of players will finally start rolling back into ogres instead of coming up with bullshit Ideneth lists. I'm not calling one specific player out at all.
All Ideneth lists are bullshit, though, to be fair.
Yeah. Never practice fundamentals. That's right.
I mean, like, I'm just going to jump on that bandwagon and make a bold statement here. How can they be on the land? Wouldn't one dispel magic just mess up the Ether Sea? There.
Right. Throne. Yep. And then all you have is a bunch of eels wriggling around on the ground, just confused.
Flopping on the grass.
Confused, tired, and like wet hot dogs rolling around down a hill or something, right?
Exactly. Dirty, wet eel hot dogs just waiting for the end, gasping for breath because they foolishly left the ocean.
Yes. You foolish bastards.
Oh my gosh. So Julie and I are going to try and do a little war cry at home just to mix it up and try some different things out. And yeah, it's a fun opportunity to paint an army that you don't normally paint. So I was showing her through all the lists of armies, and she's interested in the Ideneth, right? Because they got cool octopus guy and fish swimming around and that kind of thing. And she's like, so wait, do we all just fight underwater? I don't understand. And I'm like, no, they like magically bring the water with them. It's like, that's dumb. They shouldn't do that.
Well, it's just so funny because, I mean, I'm sure they're used to it now with all their raiding, but the first Ideneth raiding party to try this must have been like the first guy to eat a mushroom. They're probably just there looking to Charles like, are you sure this is gonna work? I'm not sure this is gonna work.
Trial and error. Right. That's why they have the thralls.
Hey, blind guy, keep going over there. Yeah, it's water, trust me.
Well, we also got some interesting drops this morning.
Oh my gosh, hot off the presses.
I know, I'm so excited. So we got our Christmas boxes, as we do. Got to get that in quarter, get them stocks up. So,
but yeah, and more this year than I remember them ever having. So that's exciting.
Normally it's like 3 or 4, right?
Seems that way.
And I gotta say, most of these are super solid. I am actually like terrified about looking at these longer than this podcast because I lose a lot of money. So
let's see. Daughters of Cain looking great. I think the weak point of this is the Doomfire Warlocks, but that's not that bad of a weak point. Doomfire Warlocks seem great.
And they're sweet.
They are sweet.
It's really kind of a mixed bag for me because it reminds me and it makes sense now. It would be the start collecting box with a couple of extra units essentially, right? So it's cool. It's worth it. Now that you don't have access to that old start collecting, like this is the best way to get the throne, right?
Sure.
And most like cost efficient way to get all the extra units to pad out something, which I think these boxes were kind of meant to do, right? You start an army. Yeah. Oh, I need all these extra units. To me, it's a little underwhelming just because I've gotten those units already, right? And they come out in mass and start collecting and such. But the Auric War Clans. What? Why? Come on, guys.
Yeah, we got the Cruel Boys Swamp Lurkers. This one is, I feel like, the only real letdown of the set.
So it's 10 of the regular fighters. The Gut Rip is a vulture, a monster, and then 3 bow boys. Is that it? Really?
Yep. Yeah. Just I hope that's cheaper. I don't know how to justify this one other than, if together the Sludge Raker and the Vulture make up, less than half of the box's cost. Like I feel like this army has been out long enough and the hype has died. So the only thing that I see in there that I actually want is Sludge Rakers, right? A 3 Sledge Raker list sounds fun. Sounds fun and stupid, just like Cruel Boys.
Right.
Yeah, I'm there with you. You know, I often pride myself in having a Cirque du Soleil contortionist ability to find ways to justify giving Games Workshop money. You know, if you follow that.
Oh yeah.
But I have a hard time sometimes with these boxes in general because every time I see one, I mean, it would have to strike me at the point when I have not started collecting that Army, interested in it, want literally everything in that box. And then, you know, that's where the price delta might grab me. But I feel like you're always one off unit in there away from not really wanting it.
Yep.
Versus just getting the unit separately.
True.
Which rolls me right into the next box that I am totally getting.
Team Destruction, just like turning a 180 on their box sets, and the Stampeding Squiglanch.
I love it.
Is amazing.
What's
you get 4 total Mangler Squigs in there.
4? Oh,
right. Well, because each one is a pair, right? So
two balls and chains, 4 Mangler Squigs. Looks like a leader, so that'd put me up to 4 leaders now.
Yep. And then 10 each bounders and hoppers. Or no, sorry. Hoppers / bounders and 10 squig herd squigs.
Yeah, including the 2 minders that they have, which that's great. Anybody who has partial squigs, which I'm just on the edge of completing the full squig army, needs Mangler Squigs. And they're just expensive enough that it's like, oh, do I want to justify that because, you know, I'm collecting other armies? Well, no, that now we know that there's $120, I think, probably more, $140 in just Mangler Squigs right there. And we know that the others are essentially probably going to be free when those are $50 boxes, right?
Yeah, nice.
So, I mean, that's a great deal. And anybody who loves Squigs, we love Squigs. We want the Squigs. Give me all the Squigs. This is my favorite.
Century right here, then.
My favorite.
Oh man,
the Skaven one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Before we go to the Skaven one, Matt, I have to call attention to a glaring issue here with the Gloomspite GITZ Stampeding Squiggle box, and it just goes to show that they're a little out of sync with themselves. Because shouldn't this have been like a 5 Arachnarok War Party box, given the recent changes to the War Scrolls?
Oh my god, yeah, it's true.
Where's the spider box?
No. Don't let me have my special snowflake army. Don't let everybody else have access to that. I want to be a special snowflake with my all spider army. Shh.
All right, fair enough.
Let no one do that until I've decided whether or not I'm going to use them next season. Please, nobody.
Yeah.
Spiders are so cool.
Oh my god.
Next week,
moving on to this. Yeah, Skaven. They get the award for the most models in the box. I mean, that was always going to go to Skaven, I think.
Yeah. But and it's interesting because this piles right into start collecting boxes easily. You've essentially, I don't know why they put the Screaming Bell up there. Maybe because it's just a cooler looking model. But you can essentially make a Plague Furnace out of this. Add this to one of the new. What do we? I can't remember what they're calling the new.
The Vanguard boxes.
Yeah, Vanguard box. Add that to the Vanguard box, and you've got already a solid army. It looks good. It's something, you know, this is honestly something that would make a lot of problems go away for just getting the hordes together if you're going to run a mixed army. It's solid. I would buy it.
I mean, my classic complaint with Skaven, I wish more of the models in this box set were from this decade.
I love the models. So, I mean, but then again, I'm still like, I'm the guy going out and playing Dragon Ogres from 98, right?
Sure.
So, not even 98. I think they're like 94. But yeah, I think the Skaven list is great. Or the Skaven box is great. 40 Clan Rants is nothing to sneeze at, and 40 Plague Months is actually perfect. Being able to use the the plague side of the book, I've gotten stomped by some plague lists. They're super good and kind of written off, in my opinion, just because.
People go to Skyway all the time.
Yep.
Which you can also do with this book.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's so good. Night Haunt. This is solid. I love it. This is really painful for my wallet.
You know what? I honestly can't tell any of these units apart.
Yep. Yeah. Classic Night Haunt problems. I think what it does, and this is if you want to get into Night Haunt, this is a perfect box to do it, because it sets you up with 2 battle lines, potentially 3, I think, and you get a coach. Everybody and their friend has Lady O, but she's perfect for conversions or anything else you want to do. So I think it's a great solid box. I could see somebody buying 2 of these and then just peppering with characters and having a good solid Night Haunt army. Solid box. I want it.
This is also the consistent theme.
Yeah, the consistent theme is that Matt wants it.
Yeah.
This Sylvaneth looks decent.
This is the one I'm underwhelmed on.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It's got 2 Tree Lords, obviously, which you could build as 3 different units. It's got Drycha, it's got 10 of the various types of Revenants, and 16 Sylvaneth Dryads.
And I'm underwhelmed because there's no new units in here. This could have been a great opportunity to throw in the Beatles or some archers and provide all that to somebody who wouldn't necessarily want to go out and buy individually. Honestly, it makes sense that they're wanting to clear older models that they have stacks of.
Sure.
But
yeah. I mean, I'm looking at this and, 4 units out of 6 see a lot of play, right? Tree Lords, Ancients, despite the Revenants, obviously, they're getting a lot of play. Drycha, honestly, pretty fantastic. I go up against her occasionally these days, and she is always nasty.
Yeah.
If you're not bringing Drycha, think about it. It's a good time.
I think what this is I'm coming from being a long-time Sylvaneth player, or mostly collector. I just used to show up and lose all the games and then put them back on the shelf until the new book. This is if you're already a Sylvaneth player, you won't want this. If you are looking to get into Sylvaneth, this is a perfect box.
Sure, that's a great.
Seems like a fair statement.
And then rounding out our set is the Stormcast Eternals Thunderstrike Spearhead. So this looks like all the other units from the most recent book, right? It's none of the ones that were in the launch box.
Yep.
But I'm seeing Vigilors and Vanquishers, which are the double-handed sword guys, Annihilators, and 2 dragons.
Yeah. I think this is probably the best box out of all of them, to be honest. Vanquishers now with the points drops are your cheapest battle line you can get, and they're actually pretty good. It's just they were a little overcosted. Vigilors, they're awesome. They're just awesome. If you've ever put together the models, I'm sorry.
They shoot stuff. They stab stuff. They make things +1 to hit.
Yeah, and they're beautiful models. Just as a collector, and you can take them in units of 5, so you've now got 2 extra units on top of your big blob. This rounds out. This is perfect for somebody who has an older Stormcast army, or is gotten just started off with all the starter boxes and really wants to tap on more and play competitively. I'm not so sure about the Vigilors. I haven't had a chance to use mine yet because they're still in silver mode, no full paint. But this looks like a solid bolt-on to whatever you have. And obviously, if you were leaning into all dragons, then you turn around and sell those dragons. Turn around and sell whatever you need, or trade, right?
Yeah. Trade out whatever you already had. No, that's a very solid box set. All in all, great work, GW. Putting out some solid. Is Skaven the only Chaos box set? I guess so.
Yeah, it is, which is interesting. It's interesting, but I think it's needed. Give love to all the other armies.
I think they're probably thinking of the STD release box as sort of being the other Chaos box set.
No, that's true, and totally. There's so many new models in that box. They don't like this. They clearly try to put these together to clear out some old stock. I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah. And they finally put some of them together correctly, right? It used to be, and especially with the Gloom Spite boxes, you just get a smattering of stuff, and you're like, well, am I really going to use these trolls if I'm going into this to get the bouncing guys, right?
How would you like 5 Squig Herd? A guy, a hero on a squig, 3 or 5 spider riders, 1 Trog hero, and
some fanatics,
20 shooters,
and then some fanatics. Yeah, that'll work. That's exactly what your army needs. Most of this feels like they actually put some thought into it instead of just trying to clear a shelf, right? There were opportunities for them to clear shelves and other things, and they clearly thought about how they're going to use the new Vanguard boxes to bolt on into existing armies. I think this is probably one of the better releases they've had in a while for these.
No, they're all solid
for the
boxes.
Past 4 years.
Well, Cruel Boys aside, they're all solid boxes, and who knows? Maybe Cruel Boys will get really good next year. We'll get a White Dwarf update.
I feel like they're just going to continue just going with the Cruel Boys.
But
maybe.
I think I think we should leave it on that note. GW goes with the Cruel Boys. We have been always strikes last.
we're striking last, just like the Cruel Boys.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Indeed. Christmas will come next year for them.
Yes.
There we go.
Or the year after.
Someday,
2025. Maybe. Cruel Boys.
Don't hold us to it.
2072. Cruel Boys.